like maps? How about a detailed hand-drawn map that reflects your favorite people, places, and things? Visit Cartograph Me on Instagram or Facebook and see the possibilities and the works of artist Philip Bailey. Remember, Cartograph Me, putting you on the map. The Lord of the Rings and Finding Nemo dominated the box office. Frosted lip gloss and airbrush shirts were the fashion, and America got patriotic and renamed one of their favorite foods to Freedom Fries. The year is 2003, and this holiday episode is a long road about dead ends.
I'm really upset that you didn't mention that that's the year that we started dating.
We're going to expand our weekly video segment to take you into the back shelves of your local video store, back where it says horror videos, and where kids are devouring some awful films that we call the video nasties.
Are you freebasing? Inquiring minds want to know.
I have to break free from this culture of mechanical reproductions and the thick incrustations dying on the surface.
Fuck the prime time, bitch!
Mom left the new Fletch.
The pain, I can assure you, will be exquisite. As for our deaths, come with me and be immortal. We have such sights to show you.
We've got to return some videotapes.
Hello, horror hounds, and welcome to the It Slays podcast. I'm your humble host, Rowan.
It's Xylia.
And this is the classic 80s Garbage Pail Kid sticker, Michael Mutant, Mike.
So normally Rowan does a question, and I have commandeered that this week. So on Instagram, I asked everybody what the best movie they saw in 2020 was. We got 2 responses. So, Final Girl Nick said Gretel and Hansel. Ooh, that threw me off, because normally it's Hansel and Gretel.
Yeah, I haven't seen that one. I want to see it, though. It's Spanish, I believe. Have you heard of that one, Mike?
I've heard of it. I've heard good things. I haven't seen it myself yet, but
yeah.
Being a big fan of Final Girl Nick and knowing her spectacular taste, I'm sure it's gonna bump up on my list of to be watched for sure.
And our second one was Colton, so CJE Simpson. He said for movies that were released in 2020, he said Host, as well as The Invisible Man. Now, we did watch Host at the beginning of the pandemic.
Yes, we did. And I really like that.
Yeah, I thought it was quite good, actually. It really, I think when I watch it again in the future, it will bring back all the Zoom meeting memories from 2020. Minus, like, the death and stuff, but...
And we haven't seen The Invisible Man yet. We owned it. We've owned it since it came out, and... just haven't watched it yet.
Oh, the new one with
Elizabeth Moss.
Elizabeth Moss? Oh, yes.
Mike, I don't know if you know this story, but when we lived in Toronto, I think it was the first birthday I had there, we went, myself, Rowan, Samantha, Tim, Brittany, all these people, went to this place called Lakeview Diner, which is a 24-hour diner where they, like, film movies and shit. It's kind of cool. I mean, we went there all the time. It was cool. It was delicious. Anyways, we went for my birthday. I think that's the first time we went. And literally, like 20 minutes after we left, our friends Brittany and Andrew were still there. And Elizabeth Moss came in and sat in the booth next to them because she was filming Handmaid's Tale.
My God.
I almost cried.
I would shit my pants. I'm not gonna lie. I'm like Peggy Olsen herself.
Yes. I know. And it was...
You're like, I love your work and don't mind that shit smell. That's just me.
That's just me. Imagine on my birthday seeing Elizabeth Moss. Ugh, I was so upset.
So close, too. So close.
I know. Oh, well. That's okay. I'll just live in regret forever.
I mean, that's sort of how I live every day, so welcome to my world, girl.
So what were the best movies you guys saw in 2020?
It's a tough one, because I know this is like a joke everybody has, but it truly, I have a problem with this anyway. I'm not sure why, but it's been like it ever since I was a child. But I have a real problem with, like, kind of temporal space. Like, my concept of time, I think, is really skewed compared to a lot of other people's, and I know it's all relative, but like
Time is a social construct.
Yeah, and I really have a problem with it. And because so much stuff happened this year, and I know obviously everybody has that complaint, and everything has been happening to everybody, but like even before the kind of worldwide things were happening, like we had, you know, that horrific snowstorm here that shut everything down for almost 2 weeks, and that felt like a month, and I don't know anymore like what happened this year and what didn't. So anything, like I've now been marking everything as since I moved. I moved from my old apartment to my new one the last few days of August of this year. So really my new marker for this year is there's a blob of everything before that that is indeterminate, and then everything after that is kind of like what I'm judging it by. So, because of that, really the only things I can say for sure that I watched this year, because everything else seems like a lump in 4 years ago, was something that we watched, you know, fairly recently for this podcast, and that was House.
Yes.
If you were talking the best movie, the best horror movie, I know I watched better, like, you know, we had Parasite and all that, and I know technically that was probably this year, although I can't say for sure. But
I guess I should say, like, not best, but, like, what was your favorite?
Okay, no, favorite, like, House impacted me on a level that I can't even tell you. It's one of those, like I said, that I had been wanting to soak in it for so long, and I thought that when I finally watched it, I was going to be really disappointed, and I wasn't. Which to me just like screams, this is the movie that's going to stay with me for a very long time. And I just like, I still think about House all the time. Later, the night that I watched it, I messaged several people and was like, if you haven't seen this, please watch it so we can talk about it. So it was one of those movies, right? And I like, to me, that is absolutely the mark of a good movie that's going to stay with you, is like when you're just messaging people going like, can we please talk about this movie? Watch it. Like, I need to watch this again. I need to get this on Blu-ray. I need to own this. I want art of it. I have GIFs of it on my phone. I'm trying to find posters to put up on my wall. So yeah, that's mine, House. Honestly, it just profoundly impacted me, and I just think it's such a great piece of art.
Excellent. Rowan, what about you?
Me? Oh, this is a hard one. I'm trying to think. This year, I've watched a lot of things I like. I have two I enjoyed.
Perfect.
Colton started the cheating with picking two, so
I'm the originator of
cheating. One that I really like is what we just finished watching today. We just actually sat down and watched I'm Thinking of Ending Everything.
Or I'm Thinking of Ending Things.
Yeah, I'm Thinking of Ending Things. And I really, really liked it.
I've never been so confused in a movie.
Oh, isn't that a Kaufman movie?
Yeah.
Okay. I have it on my list. I haven't watched it yet.
Yeah, I really enjoyed that. And my second answer, which I think would probably be like my number one pick, is Spring. I really, really like that.
What's that?
That was the one I made you watch. That's like the horror romance in Italy.
Oh,
clearly it made no impact on her because she said, what the fuck is that?
He watched it with our friend Dustin, and then made me watch it the next day, and he was really building up. He's like, this is the best movie ever, blah, 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 blah. And I was just like, I honestly can't remember. I thought it was okay.
I really, really enjoyed it, and it's kind of slipping my brain now. I can't think of like the duo that makes it, but they're the guys that do like The Endless and Ravenous. And they had that newer film out like last year or the year before called After Midnight. I think they were producers on that one. But it's just like an indie romance horror. And I just really, really liked it. Just my bag, I guess.
Did the girl have wings?
She had all different kinds of things.
I vaguely remember watching it.
Obviously, this won't make Xylia's pick. But Xylia, how about you?
So I have two. Much like Mike, House is like number one. I absolutely love it. I loved watching it with Rowan. It was so funny. I want the poster of it. Mm-hmm. I have like part of the picture that I made for the cover as my lock screen.
Nice. Yeah. You're like me. You're on Redbubble. Like, I want house totes and
Yeah.
t-shirts and phone cases.
Yeah, my house shirt's like, I wear it all the time. It's such a fun movie, and it's just, it's so interesting. So we were watching Eli Roth's History of Horror, and they were talking about so the new season has like an episode about like haunted houses, and they didn't talk about House, but they kept showing like random clips, and I was like, and I was so disappointed when they didn't talk about it. But yeah, House is amazing. Definitely watch it. My other one is Brain Damage. I talked about this before. It's one of the ones that I had watched in October, and I really liked it. It's just like a horror comedy from the 80s, and I thought it was fun, but it was also like, I love the colors. I love Aylmer, who's like the monster guy. So those are my movies.
I like those picks. I would have said House, but I've seen House before this year.
Yeah,
a couple.
that's fair.
Yeah, so, but very good pick. I would have picked that as well. Well, it's time to get into our film. It was my pick for the holidays, and I wanted to go a little kooky, a little weird. So I picked for this wonderful holiday film called Dead End, directed by Jean-Baptiste Andre, as well as Fabrice Canapé.
Febreze?
Yeah, Febreze. They have French names, and I sure don't know how to say them. I can't even say English names.
This is true. If there's one thing we've learned, you cannot even say English names.
So let's get into the trailer, and then we'll be back with the Letterboxd bio.
Is anybody else just like the least bit freaked out that we are the only car on the road right now?
It's 7:30 already, darling.
Yes, I'm aware of that, Laura. I thought we'd come to a junction by now. Stop! I saw a woman in the forest.
Cool, Dad's tripping out.
Oh my God! What the hell was that?
You guys suck.
What are you talking about?
I saw Brad in a car. Who are these people in the woods?
Don't come over here, for God's sake.
I'm pregnant.
I smoke pot.
Talk about a Merry fucking Christmas. What if she gets it first? Who? The lady in white.
Don't worry. She's dead.
You bitch! Laura!
I'm just kidding. I'm gonna go now.
So the bio is, read the signs. Christmas Eve, on his way to his in-laws with his family, Frank Harrington decides to try a shortcut for the first time in 20 years. It turns out to be the biggest mistake of his life.
I think that's a terrible bio for this movie.
I feel like, it's hard because they don't want to give, too much away, and I don't think they want you to know how much of, a crazy shit show of a watch it is. They just want you to go in being like, oh yeah, it's just...
He's on a road.
He's on a road, whatever. So let's first talk about some people that are in the film. Xylia, why don't you start? We've decided we're going to do something new starting this episode where we each get to pick an actor in the film, and we'll talk about them.
So I picked Ray Weiss.
Who plays Frank.
I would like to point out some some movies that I thought were notable. So, also a TV show, Twin Peaks. Sorry, Mike. reaction.
So good.
Also RoboCop, and I picked RoboCop because when I was a kid, I used to be scared to death of RoboCop.
I love RoboCop.
Well, I mean, people should be scared to death of cops, so... I'm just saying that was perhaps where your I think that was a seed for the rest of your life right there. I'm scared of cops.
Yeah. My mom would always be like, why are you scared of this? RoboCop's good. And I was like, I don't know. Like, I used to be so petrified. I would bawl my eyes out every time I saw the show. Or movie. Yeah, anyways. Powder. Now, this one really, like, hits me in the heart. Because when I was a child, I was very pale, and my parents literally took me to the doctor to see if I was albino.
Oh my god, the one where he has no hair and has like powers?
Yeah, he's like has
and Mary
albinism.
Steenburgen is in it. I love it.
Yeah.
I also like how Xylia tried to play off that she was only pale when she was a kid. She's like the same amount of paleness.
No, I was like way paler when I was a child. Trust me. Like I was like a piece of toilet paper pale.
But she's like doing the like I'm pale Olympics where she's like, my parents tested me for albinism. Like,
no, my parents
okay, girl.
No, my parents literally took me to the doctor because I had like white hair, white eyebrows, like I was super, super white. And then like a lot of people with albinism have pink eyes, but some people have blue. Yeah, I wasn't. Like, I don't have it, but it really... So my parents basically, like, showed me the movie.
They're like, this could have been your life.
This is your people right here.
Honestly, being pale was really traumatizing as a child. One of my friends in grade 6 told me when we were having a sleepover, oh, there's one thing I don't like about you. And I was like, okay, what's that? And she was like, you're really pale. And I was like, okay. People used to pick on me all the time for being so pale.
I don't even know how to respond to that, to be honest.
It's true.
I truly don't. I'm at a loss.
I know,
right
it's
now.
a weird... What? It's a weird thing, I know. I'm too white, I know. Anyways, white people problems. He's also featured in the short film The Girl with the Tramp Stamp Tattoo. And I just thought that was funny because when I was 12, my mom took me to get a tramp stamp.
Was she getting it or were you?
What?
Was she getting the tramp stamp or were you?
I got it.
Oh.
Yeah.
I don't know why I thought your mom had a tramp stamp.
No, my mom doesn't have any tattoos, but she took me when I was 12 to get one.
Everybody listening to this episode is expecting this, like, Christmas episode, but it's just Xylia,
it's just filled with parents, getting
childhood traumas of Xylia.
Murked.
And finally, he's in Unholy Moly. And it's just the cover's a picture of a bowl of guacamole with, like, 3 tortilla chips in it.
Are they really sharp though? And it's like when you don't chew a tortilla all the way, and it like cuts as it's going down your throat, and you're like, ah!
I actually have no idea what it's about.
Only Xylia would take this assignment and pick movies she's never seen.
Unholy guacamole.
Almost all of them
okay.
besides Unholy Moly.
And the girl with the...
That's a short film.
Always.
It's a parody of Girl with the Dragon Tattoo.
Oh yeah, I got it.
Yeah.
I got the reference.
It was real subtle.
Yeah.
Mike, how about you go next?
Okay, so my actor is of course, they didn't even, like, discuss it. They were just like, we knew you were gonna pick her. My queen of everything. I've worshipped her my entire life. Ms. Lynn fucking Shay. Like,
oh yeah.
We know her from literally 8 million things. This woman, her CV is straight up, first of all, everything. Like, she has been in, I'm gonna say, 300 movies at least. Sometimes she just has, like, a little cameo part, but, like, as soon as she walks on, you know her. She is, for like, horror freaks like us, people will always recognize her, and they'll be like, oh my god, I know her, but I don't know what she's from. Because she's been in everything.
Rock City.
But, like, she's straight up, like, her career is, like, comedy roles and horror roles, right?
She's queen.
She is a queen. She, kind of broke out of the gate with, like, playing the teacher in Nightmare on Elm Street, which is what a lot of us horror freaks, like, maybe probably first saw her as. But she's been in, like, Something About Mary, the Insidious movies, the Ouija movies, which, by the way, are way better than they should be.
Yeah, they really are.
She has been in Dead End. She's been in everything. Like, literally, this woman's career is storied. She is the sister of Bob Shea, who was the founder of New Line Studios, which of course was, the studio that put out Nightmare on Elm Street, which is probably why she was in it. But, like, she just pops up in everything. Like, literally everything. TV shows, like... But we all love her as Magda in Something About Mary. Like,
oh, yeah.
Everybody... Like, all anybody can ever think about Something About Mary, I feel like, who's old enough to have seen it, because I feel like there's probably a lot of people now that haven't seen it, because it kind of fell out of vogue. But, like, it's like... Oh my god, that old orange lady's tits. And it's like, that's Lin Shaye. Lin Shaye is that proto-Donald Trump.
Oh my god.
Because that's what I call her.
I like that comparison.
Magda in Something About Mary is proto-Donald Trump. Fucking at me if you want. I don't care. Get in my DMs. Argue with me about it. Call me down to the dirt. Come at me, bro.
Well, I have picked Alexandria Holden, and she has been in some stuff, kind of in that era. She was in Ed TV. She was in Drop Dead Gorgeous. She was in and Out, which I remember so much more than I feel like I should. I remember when that movie came out.
Right?
Yeah. And probably, like, not so great. She was also in Hot Chick, like that Rob Schneider comedy movie.
I don't think I've ever seen that.
Yeah, but to be fair, at that time, that was, like...
popular.
That was something that you would, like... go out of your way to get your agent to get you in. Like, oh my god, a Rob Schneider movie, get me in that. That's gonna make my career.
Yeah, but more importantly, the most important thing she was in is a movie I absolutely love, which is Sugar and Spice.
You would.
Yeah, I love that movie so much.
Such a Row movie. I can't believe that you elevated Sugar and Spice over Drop Dead Gorgeous. In Drop Dead Gorgeous, this woman lip syncs to Melissa Manchester in a wheelchair because she's anorexic while her hair is falling out. But I will give you, Sugar and Spice is cult classic, and it's so a fucking Row pick.
Love it.
Rowan is, like, totally anti-DVD, and a few months ago, or maybe it was last year, kind of like...
a couple months
ago.
Okay,
I was like, kind of like Mike, 2020 has just been a blur, but
yeah.
He came home with a DVD of Sugar and Spice. That's how much he loves it.
And can we talk about, like, how underrated Marla Sokoloff is? And Marley Shelton. Like, that cast of that movie is so good.
Yeah.
It's such a great cast.
I would also like to honorably mention the guy who plays Richard Harrington, or Dick Harrington. His name's...
Uncle Dick.
Yeah, Uncle Dick. His name's Mick Cain, and the only other
I
thing...
love his French fries.
Oh my god.
Jesus.
Wow, okay. Good.
I'm so sorry. The exhaustion is hitting me right now.
I didn't even think about that. The only other thing he's in is The Bold and the Beautiful, and I just wanted to point this out because Rowan and I were watching something like last week, and they were on whatever we were watching. They were watching something on TV, and I was like, oh, it's The Bold and the Beautiful, and Rowan's like, how the fuck do you know that? And I was like, because it was on when I got home from school before Passions. Like, I had to finish watching The Bold and the Beautiful before Passions started. Did you not watch Passions, Mike?
Well, here's the thing. When I got home from school, I would put on horrific horror movies instead of watching TV.
Instead of watching Passion.
I had tapes full of, like, sitcoms and movies from the movie channel and all sorts of other stuff. I did watch a bit of Passions because my friends at the time were into it, so I felt like I needed to watch it too.
Yeah.
And I feel like I understood that it was camp more so than other soap operas, but I think I was still not quite at the level of being and knowing that, like, embracing camp. I feel like I was kind of on that, like, knife edge of, I want to watch this because it's camp, but also I don't want to be caught watching it because it's camp, because that would reflect badly on me, you know what I mean?
Well,
as a male of, 12 years old, camp was not something that you want to be associated with.
Yeah, that's fair. I was in grade 3 when Passions was popular, and everybody, well, I guess all the girls in my class loved it. And we'd always like talk about what Ethan was up to and what like Timmy and Tabitha. And I didn't have cable growing up. Like, I had 2 channels, and my parents don't really watch movies, so I had like random VHSs around. So
they only had Powder.
We only had Powder. Well, no, they had to rent that from Blockbuster. So CTV and CBC were literally like my only options of things to watch, unless I was at other people's homes. Sad.
Xylia is just like depressing in this episode.
Did you go to people's houses based on if they had cable or not? Because like
everybody else I knew had cable. So
I'm just gonna say I had a couple of friends who had like really good cable setups and like big screen TVs with like surround sound speakers and stuff. And like I'm not saying they were my friend because of that, but I'm also saying that like we definitely made choices to like watch movies and shit over there because. You know, I one person, I became part of their family, and I'm like, this was very convenient for me because you guys have a 75-inch TV and this intense surround sound speakers that goes literally all over the house. Like, there's speakers in every room except for the bedrooms. So you're down, like, we're here watching, you know, Nightmare on Elm Street 3 for the 70th time. And her parents would be, like, down in their kitchen trying to, like, eat supper. And there's fucking speakers down there blaring, you know, Freddy gutting people in their ears while they're trying to eat.
In our town, if someone back then had a 75-inch TV, they were, like, super rich. So, no,
they didn't hang out with the albino girl.
The albino girl with the tramp stamp tattoo and no cable. So nope, I did not experience that. Basically, my best friend had a TV in her room, which was like, I think she, and like a VCR and everything. Like, I think she might have been the only one with, I did have a TV in my room, but it was like one of those miniature, like, 5-inch screen black and white TVs. So not like the most fun to watch things on. It had like the fucking like antenna you like pull up.
Oh, that's grim.
It was terrible. So then, yeah, we would watch cable at her house, and I was there a lot. And then my grandmother had cable, but no, I don't know. I didn't know anybody with a TV that big. And my focus was more like, I liked that my friend had a TV in her room because we could watch whatever we wanted.
Did you still watch Passions?
No, I watched Passions at my house.
Okay. Let's talk about the Bechdel test, Xylia.
Okay, so for those who don't know, the Bechdel test is kind of a test to see how one-dimensional women are treated in movies, or I guess visual media in general. So it's, are there 2 women in a scene together? Are they not talking about a man? Are they named? And my added dimension, are they not white, able-bodied, you know, blah, blah, blah. So, this is kind of a weird movie to do that for, I feel, because there's all of, like, 6 people in it, and they're not necessarily, like, they're not swooning over men or anything in the movie. It didn't pass, but I think that's just kind of by the nature of the movie itself.
Well, and I was gonna say,
like
it's hard with the test, too, because the way the movie's structured, like, you kind of don't get anyone's, like, character backstory until, like, it's kind of revealing itself as the movie goes along. So.
Yeah, and I mean, the main 4 people in it are a father and a mother, and then a son and a daughter.
Yeah, exactly.
Who are in a car, and then one of them, and then another one is dead. So it's like, the fact that it would fail the Bechdel test in this instance, and I'm sure many others, is not necessarily damning the movie itself.
Exactly.
As being anti-feminist. It's just, you know, if anything, a critique of, like, the nuclear family, right? Like, that kind of mother, father, son, daughter, yeah.
Yeah, most definitely. I mean, obviously everybody in this movie is white. Like, that's something to point out. But, yeah, like, I mean, exactly. It's not damning to it. It's just not a good movie for that test.
I agree. Well, let's talk about first experiences. Is this your first time seeing this movie? We'll start with you, Xylia.
So, it's not. The first time I saw this movie, Rowan and I were living in Calgary, and he would, in the middle of the night, just watch, like, I think his goal was to watch every horror movie, and so he'd lay in bed with his laptop on his chest, and one night I woke up, and he was watching this movie, and I was just kind of laying there gonna go back to sleep, and then I like was watching it, and I ended up just watching the movie because I was like, oh, like what, what's going on here? Like, I was interested in it, so yeah, I liked it at that point. So
well, I was gonna say, in that watch you woke up like into it.
Yeah.
So you hadn't even really seen the beginning or anything.
No, I was just like, what the fuck's happening?
So yeah, well, I'll just go next. Obviously, this isn't the first time I saw it, because like Xylia explained, I saw it years ago. So how about you, Mike?
Well, I first saw it years ago. I will call it during my reefer haze days.
Reefer
haze. It was a very specific, like, year-long period of my life.
You're sounding like a real Uncle Dick.
I'm very much Uncle Dick. Except I'm not, like, cross me and I'll, like, beat you, bitch, like that guy is. No, one of my roommates years and years and years ago, we used to just, like, I had this, like, brief period where I was between degrees and jobs. So for, like, a couple of months, I was just sort of, like, in a free-for-all, like, falling state. And my roommate at the time, like, we would very frequently stay up all night, and, like, one or the other of us would be like, have you seen X, Y, or Z? Or let's watch this. And we would just, like, get, completely out of our gourds on one of his giant, TV-sized bags of weed and watch it. So the first time I saw it, I remember vividly, was one night, when I was living at this house, and, it was like 3 o'clock in the morning, and, he was like, oh, have you seen this movie Dead End? And I'm like, no. And I looked at it, I was like, Lin Shaye, like, first of all, Lin Shaye and Ray Wise, how have I never seen this? And we watched it, and I was just like, boo! Like you when you watch these, like, kind of like trippy movies when you're high anyway, and it just like totally flicks a switch in you. So that was the first time I saw it, and honestly, I was so like enamored with it, and it like walloped me. Like, it really just, like, smacked me in the face. But it was one of those movies that, like, I just never went back and rewatched. But I cannot tell you how many times in the years after that I would say to people, like, have you seen this movie Dead End? Or if they were talking about, like, cult horror movies that they haven't seen, or, anything like that. Like, I would always bring it up in context and be like, watch this movie, it was really good. But I never went back and rewatched it. For whatever reason, I always meant to. But it was one of those that, like, affected me when I watched it for the first time so much that I didn't want it to be one of those, like, Nightmare on Elm Street 3 that I watched 800 bajillion times in my life. Like, I would go, okay, I want to have a night and set aside and watch this. Or I wanted to show it to this person who hasn't seen it before. So I wanted to, like, make a ritual out of it, and it just never happened. So then I was really grateful that you chose this movie, because I've been years trying to, like, rewatch it or show it to somebody again. So yeah, I mean, I watched it that one time, and it like really affected me for years afterwards. So it was really nice to watch it again. So this was my second viewing for the recording tonight.
Well, and I was gonna say, like, I feel too, like, now that I've seen it, I kind of want to add it in my plethora of Christmas movies. Like, I have very ritualistic, I watch these Christmas movies in Christmas season,
and like some of them are like this day.
Yeah.
In the holidays.
In the holidays. And I feel like this one's probably going to get added, because I think it's a very different Christmas movie.
Well, because it's set on Christmas Eve, but it doesn't, like, throw Christmas right in your face.
Yeah.
No, there's just the couple references to, like, the presents and, shitty, dry, experimental turkey.
Yeah.
I'm just assuming it's dry. I don't think they actually ever said dry.
Well, let's get into those awesome questions, such as favorite scene / favorite kill. Xylia, let's start with you.
So my favorite scene is the one where they're in the car before anything happens, and the two parents are, like, bickering back and forth about going to Lin Shaye's mom's parents' house, and I wish I remembered all the stuff they said, but I literally was just like dying laughing.
But that's the thing, this movie has such a like dark black comic streak to it.
Yeah, it just reminds me of like a conversation Rowan and I would have or something. Like,
I did look at Xylia many times, and I was like, this is literally us during the holidays. Yeah. When you, like, are forced to see, like, family members that you just don't want to see on either side, and you're just like, I hate you for dragging me around.
So, yeah, I that was probably my favorite scene. The kills, like, I mean, we don't overly see them until afterwards, except for Uncle Dick. I guess him, because the lady in white literally bit his like lower half of his face off, and he was just like,
he was just like, oh, are you gonna fuck me now?
Yeah.
Yes. I want to stick it in you.
So how about you, Mike? Your favorite scene?
Oh, I will tell you right now, because before I even rewatched the movie for our recording, I knew what scene I was going to pick as my favorite, because, again, I understand that when I watched it the first time, a lot of it blurred because I watched it while I was stoned. And it happens. But I remembered, like, a lot of it, and I remember the mood, and I remembered a lot of the moments, and, you know, the moods and stuff. But there's one part in particular that, over the years, I forgot a lot of the movie. I mean, I knew the major beats of the story and stuff, but, like, the one thing that if somebody said, have you ever seen Dead End, would immediately jump into my mind, because it's the one thing I always remembered and, like, would have nightmares about, is the part after Lin Shaye jumps out of the car and they find her and, like, that back half of her skull is gone.
Oh, yeah!
And she sticks her finger in it and then realizes that it, like, activates her, like, pleasure zone or whatever, and starts, like, wiggling it around and starts, like, you know, like, essentially, like, having an orgasm and, like, fantasizing about her, like, the love of her life that she, you know, abandoned or whatever. And, like, I've never forgotten that. And, like, the one thing I've always remembered is her, like, rubbing her brain and, like, like, stroking out and, like, having an orgasm to, like, this man that she never, you know.
It's a great scene.
It's so much more intense, I find, than a lot of the other scenes. Like, there's something about that scene that just always, like, really, like, it was there are a lot of, like, intense little mini scenes in this, but, like, just for whatever reason, that one, like, and because it tied in with that, like, kind of, like, shock character development moment you get where she says, like, you're not his father, it's this other guy. And then that calls back to that moment where it's like, oh, you're my husband, but, like, oh my god, this other guy. The last thing I'm thinking about when I'm sticking my finger in, like, my exposed brain is this other man. And it was just, to me, that, like, was such an emotionally, like, walloping moment. I've never forgotten it, and it's still my favorite part of that whole movie, I think.
I guess that's kind of a kill.
It is a kill. Kinda. Well, because she dies right afterwards, because, you know, it's, like, her fucking exposed brain. Like, you...
That would be my favorite kill, too.
Yeah. See, with our taste.
Yeah. Yeah, I like, thought that was hilarious as well.
I really enjoyed when Brad dies and they have to get the cell phone.
Oh my god,
and
that
the
was
ears
brilliant.
just dangling off of it.
With the earring.
Yeah, I thought that was so good.
The flip phone with the antenna still pulled out of it.
But I will say,
it's so 2003.
But I will say, like, and mine kind of ties in with yours, that I just really liked the whole kind of section where, like, she's unraveling.
Oh, yeah.
And, like, so she's, like, in the car and she's just, like, eating the
pie. Yeah.
And it's, like, very, like, black comedy-ish.
But that's why I mentioned, when I was talking about her, that, like, rift in her filmography.
Yeah.
It's like all sorts of really gnarly horror shit, but really funny comedy shit. Because she does both of those so well, and I thought that's why she was such a brilliant addition to this movie. Because it was a very intense, like, kind of weird, out of space and time horror movie, but, like, she brought that, like, absolute black comedic chops to it. Like, that whole scene where she was losing her shit was both frightening as shit and hysterical.
Yeah.
Yeah, and she rides that line so good, because, like, that whole sequence is so unsettling.
Oh, baby, you ride that line so good.
Yeah.
That's just what it sounded like. Sorry.
If you wanna ride that line.
But, like, and especially, like, when she gets out of the car, and then, like, I couldn't really, it's been so long since I've seen it, I couldn't really remember, like, when and, like, how they all kind of, like, die. So, like, when she puts the shotgun in her mouth, I was, like, thinking that she actually shot herself. So I was, like,
yeah, you were
myself.
like, how does that section of her skull come off? Yeah.
Yeah, so I was, like, kind of
thing.
prepping myself for that, and being like, oh, this is, like, gonna be, like, really sad, and then, like, she doesn't, and then, like, she shoots him in the leg, and, like you said, that then, like, that whole part is, like, comedic, because then, like, he's on the ground, and he's not, other than being shot in the leg, he's okay, and then, like, she's kind of just pretending it's not a big deal, and it's just a funny sequence that I feel like only Lin Shaye could pull off. One thing I did want to talk about is, I don't know about you guys, but I've never, like, had a pit stop on a road trip with my family where I pin porn to a tree and jerk off in the woods. That was, like, the most bizarre thing ever. I was just like, who does this?
Oh, and the best part of it was the fact that he had his Zippo out so he could see it. Like, I was like, girl, are you gonna just catch Miss December on fire? Like,
I thought the whole time, I was like, I wonder if this catches on fire.
And I'm gonna say, the fact that, like, because there were so many, like, subtly comedic moments in this, you know, they really straddled that line of, like, horror and comedy, like, and I think it was very subtle. Like, I think the comedy in it wasn't a black comedy, it was, like, a real pitch black comedy.
Yeah.
But, like, the fact that they didn't do anything with, like, you know, how am I going to say this without sounding, like, uncouth? The fact that there was no, like, cum shot humor on this sort of disappointed me.
I was,
like, waiting for, like, a, you know, maybe because me and my friends used to, like, stick nails in maple trees, and, like, when the maple syrup started squirting out, hold lighters up to it, and it would catch it would catch the sap on fire. I just thought there was going to be something like that, and there just never was. Listen, us Newfoundlanders do weird things out in the woods.
Why would you try to catch the sap on fire?
Because it's highly flammable, and if it's, like, coming out of the tree and you catch it on fire, it's like molten lava coming out of a tree. Yeah.
I didn't know it was.
I'm in no way advocating that people do this, but it was real fun when you're a teenager.
Oh my God. The only thing I used to do with sap from a tree was put it on snow and eat it.
You ate sap? Oh my God.
Well, like, from a maple tree.
Oh, okay. Well, we're talking just, like, you know, trees out in the woods, like, just kind of
okay.
Like,
just in general.
Yeah.
This is
there's lots of trees that have sap, not just maples. Don't be such a, like, maple snob, okay?
Oh my God.
Also, I know I had written down, I'm wondering what was going on in the mind of someone that was scoring this.
Oh my God, the score is literally all over the place.
I can't even think of what it sounds like.
It was
there's a few times when it's like this, like, hard rock, like, alternative music that clearly is similar to, like, what the guy is listening to. But then sometimes it's this Marilyn Bronson. But sometimes it's this, like, weird acoustic music, and I'm like, what is it? What's the score of this movie?
I thought it was really funny because Marilyn Bronson was obviously Marilyn Manson, and, like, they insinuated that that's what he was listening to, but the music that they played wasn't Marilyn Manson.
No, it was more like garbage or something.
Yeah.
it was weird, but then it had, like, this weird, like, orchestral music that I'd, like, hear in The Witch or something.
Right? Well, like, my problem was this. There were moments when it was, like, diegetic music, because it would segue from him putting his headphones on to the score, which was clearly meant to sound like what he was listening to.
Yeah.
Which I did not have a problem with. And I'm like, that's diegetic. Like, it's clearly, like, just segueing from his headphones to the, like, highway. But then there were some times when it would appear after he was dead. He was clearly not listening to it. It was clearly not diegetic music. But it would be this weird, like, you know, the previous score was orchestral, like, acoustic or whatever, and then all of a sudden it would be this, like, kind of, like, slightly electronic, like, electric guitar alternative score, which was very, very 2003. And it's like, like, there's no reason for this to be used now, because it's not a segue from what he's listening to. So, like, what? It's all over the place. It was this weird schism, which, I mean, maybe it worked. I don't know. Did it work?
It was weird, but it kind of fits the movie. Like, the movie is weird, so...
The movie is weird and all over the place. You're absolutely right.
So I think it kind of does. I did want to say, because I saw on IMDb... because we were talking about Marilyn Bronson, about this weird, someone in the trivia section did this weird connection of Marilyn Manson to the movie. So it says, in the opening scene, the father, played by Ray Wise, mentioned shock rocker Marilyn Manson, which he calls Marilyn Bronson. Marilyn Manson has a song titled Wrapped in Plastic, which was inspired by a line in the television show Twin Peaks, which starred Ray Wise, and he was the one that said it. If it's that deep, and that was like... I was like, that'd be
so it's like an
impressive.
Easter egg, really. The
yeah,
whole Marilyn Bronson
I'm really
thing
hoping
is an
it
Easter egg.
is.
Yeah, that's kind of cool.
In terms of, like, I don't know why I thought about it now, but something I liked, but they only used it a couple times when the car, okay, at the beginning when they turned around, the car, like, was like, like, you know what I mean? It was, like, really, like, skippy how it moved, and then it did that, something similar one more time, and I actually kind of liked that, and I guess I just thought about it because Mike was saying how things are, like, all over the place.
Yeah.
There was, like, a lot of random stuff.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, I just really like how they approached all the randomness. And then as the movie progresses, like, so much of the randomness is like an Easter egg into the story.
Well, yeah, it makes sense.
Making it make sense. But, like, I did want to really focus for a second on, like, as we said before, just, like, how fucking weird this movie is, but, like, really effective. Where, like, our villain, or, you know, I guess our, like, quote-unquote, like, villains in this are, like, the lady in white and the man in black.
Also, the guy who plays the man in black, the only other things he's in is, like, kids' movies.
That's pretty awesome. But I thought it was, like, such a effective device, especially, like, the man in black. Like, I thought that was creepy. It was kind of, like, original. I thought it was awesome, like, where you'd see as these characters are killed off, like, them in the trunk, and they're, like, pounding on the trunk. I am curious, and I mean, I guess we'd all have to go back to, you know, the first time we saw it, but, like, when you guys watched it, do you remember how long it took you to be like, oh, like, this is probably what's going on? Like, how long like, did you know at any point in the movie, you're like, oh, they must have gotten a car accident, or...
No, because the first time I saw it, I didn't see that first part.
Yeah.
Where he, like, falls asleep. I had no idea.
Yeah. Well, what about you, Mike?
I'm not gonna be like, oh, I knew what was happening. But the first time I watched it, I did suspect that pretty much from the beginning, because it actually reminded me of a book that I had read, a, like, teen horror thriller that I'd probably read when I was, like, 12 or 13 years old, where the whole book was something similar to that. She was actually, like, driving it on the road, and, like, all this weird stuff happened. And I remember at the end of it, it was, like, it wasn't the exact same thing. It was, I think that, like, I'm pretty sure that it was, like, that she had, like, slit her wrists in a bathtub, and what she was experiencing was her, like, hallucinations while she was dying. But it kind of, like, smacked of that, and I feel like the writers probably maybe even read that book, or, like, knew about it, or... I feel like that is a motif, but, like, while I was watching it, it did remind me of when I read that book as a youngster.
Yeah.
And because of that, I was thinking, like, the whole the complete lack of any other characters, and the loop of, like, that completely desolate area, and them just, like, wearing at each other and tearing at each other, seemed to be very much a, like, were stuck in a death loop. And so because of that, I did see it coming, which didn't diminish my enjoyment of it at all. And even watching it again, it didn't diminish my enjoyment of it. I was like, I know what's happening. And the first time I watched it, I didn't know that's what it was, but I said to my friend at the time, my roommate, I was like, I feel like, they're dead and this is kind of like their limbo area or whatever. In a way, I sort of saw the twist coming, but did it keep me from enjoying the movie? Like, not a bit. I know they were probably trying to play it as a twist, but I don't think it was as much a twist as just the progression of the plot, and it's like, the rest of it was done so well, and I just enjoyed it so much that I didn't give a shit.
But then halfway into the credits, which we didn't know there was another scene.
Oh, yeah.
It retwists it back.
Yeah, let's get in.
Okay, yeah, so please blow my mind, because I don't know about any credits thing, because as soon as the credits come up, I turned it off. Both times.
We never say this, but I will say this now, that if you didn't know there's a cutscene in the credits, pause this right now, then go watch it so I don't spoil it for you.
Because they're about to spoil it for me.
Yeah, we don't care about Mike. Really.
It's fine.
So basically, in the first time I saw this, I just ended it when the credits came on, because I'm like, oh yeah, that was like good, ended it. So there's a cut scene to, because if we remember, they're taking the car off the road towards the end, like the car accident, and there's the two guys that are like cleaning
up, yeah.
debris.
And they find the little things to do when I get out of this.
Yeah, that's what the scene is.
Oh, I saw that. Okay, never mind then. I thought it was something like 5 minutes, like at the very end or whatever.
No.
What I didn't see, which as you guys were talking, I was looking at, is there's also a scene at the very end where they show a picture of the family at what looks to be a Christmas party. Like it's
that's just even more confusing.
It's like a picture of the family, like in holiday stuff, and then like what I read is just that could allude that like they were at a Christmas party, or they did at some point arrive at a Christmas party,
that just
or maybe it's a Christmas party in hell. Who knows?
Or maybe it's in the past.
Maybe.
Yeah, that could be the one from the year before that they keep referring to as being a horrible Christmas.
But I will say, my main thing of bringing up, like, that first cut scene with the to-do list is I liked it because I think the casting of Ray Wise is, like, very wise, very methodical, because the weirdness of this really did give me, like, Twin Peaks vibes.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's the surreal aspect of it.
Yeah, like everything's
Twin
surreal.
Peaks is so surreal. And like the blonde like daughter, right? It's very much like a Laura Palmer.
Yeah. I was gonna say too about the daughter, like, I guess it's just because it's been so long since I saw it. I really thought that she died in it, because I thought I had remembered some like plot line where I was like, oh, the baby, and then I was like, she must have been pregnant and they died, so like the baby died, or she got an abortion. Like I was,
and
like,
it ties into the woman in white having the dead baby in her arms.
Yeah. So it actually, in this like second watch, the twist at the end actually really worked for me again, because I didn't remember it, and I was like, oh, I don't remember that she lived. So I was just like, oh, that's kind of crazy.
I like that there were like the retwists after the credits, or like during the credits, but I kind of like how it ended.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think it could have ended without that.
Yeah.
I think that's just more them being like, well, it could be or it could not be.
Yeah, and I like that, like, ambiguity.
Yeah.
But I like the idea that this was just, like, death.
Yeah.
I also really found this to be, like, I guess, a metaphor for this year in the pandemic. Because it's like a never fucking ending road that you have no idea when it's gonna end and you're gonna escape it.
And you're like, we should be there, and we should be at the end in an hour. And it's like, so our tank is completely out of gas, and we're fucked, and we have to walk the rest of the way.
Yeah.
And half of us have been brutally mutilated.
People have died. Like, it's just that feeling of being trapped, I think. And, like, dream logic, or I guess in this case, like, nightmare logic. Yeah, to me, that's what I feel like this pandemic is like.
Well, and you know what you should do when you feel like that? You should breathe through your nose and then slowly release.
That is, like, so me. Every time Rowan, like, is stressed out or anything, I'm like, do you want to do a meditation?
You're a real brat.
I've said to people at work recently when they went into the back room and they were having a stressful day, I was like, you need to do a take 5.
Yes, take 5.
I was like, I'll explain to you what a take 5 is. It's a moment of meditation and like mindfulness.
I meditate like 2 to 3 times a day, and I do like guided meditation, but it's through this app called Balance. It's a sweet app, and basically it's
I still have Balance on my phone.
Do you? Did you get it when it was like you got the year for free?
I think so, yeah.
I am obsessed with that app, so anybody that likes meditation or wants to get into it should do it. Unfortunately, the time has passed to get the year for free, but next year I will be renewing it and paying the $100. And so I'm like, Rowan, do you want me to put on a meditation for you? Like,
I'm not a meditating type. Not my thing.
But you know what? It's a skill you got to build. Like, you got to practice it. And...
It's a skill at this point I don't want to build.
But why? I love meditating.
That's for another podcast.
It makes me happy.
Let's talk about something that doesn't make me that happy, which is I'm not buying that Uncle Dick is a teenager.
I know. I was like, this guy looks like he's like our age.
Possibly the worst casting of a teenager of all time.
How old was he?
I don't know, but he's got to be like, I'm assuming a teen, like 17.
No, I mean in real life.
Oh, I don't know. He looks like he's about 30 something.
He does. I'm gonna look up his age if I can. He was born in 1978.
Oh my god.
This movie came out in 2003. Someone do the math.
Don't look at me, girl.
I mean, yeah, so he was like late 20s.
I have an arts degree. I can't do math.
Yeah, he was like late 20s.
Okay, hold on. My mom was born in 1970 and she's 50. So he's 42 now.
Yeah, in
this
2003.
Was 18 years ago.
He'd be in his late 20s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's definitely...
They could have found someone in their late 20s that looked a lot younger, I think.
And that friggin', like, the bangs on him were just not good.
It was a bad hair going on. I do want to say that I really enjoyed just all the family interaction in it. I thought it was, like, pretty... Like, especially at the beginning where we don't really know... Or I guess us as viewers kind of know there's something menacing going on, but they don't. Like, I thought it was, like, a pretty... realistic depiction of like a family.
That's what I was saying, like
trip, yeah.
The like bickering and stuff.
Yeah.
Like, that's like so realistic.
I thought they did a pretty good job at that. So let's get into is it scary? We'll start with you, Xylia.
I think the first time I saw it, I thought it was scary. I think maybe halfway because I didn't really know what was going on. I think it's scary in the way that it's like the feeling of like being trapped. I find that scary, and I think that's what I found scary the first time I watched it. Yeah. I don't like feeling trapped.
And I'll say, I usually always answer no to this question. I think it's scary, like, even this watch, like, I think it's unsettling, the whole, like, Lin Shaye, like, unwinding, and, like, not overly remembering, like, the twists and turns. And I don't want anyone to think, like, you know, when they listen to this episode that we didn't go into massive detail about this, but I also want to be careful because I want to make sure we don't give everything away because I think it's exciting to watch.
I mean, I think that we... for a long time haven't really said this is what happens and this is what happens. It's more just a conversation about the movie.
I'm just saying that don't feel that we've entirely spoiled it just because it's still a good watch. If for some reason you're listening and you haven't seen it yet. But yeah, I thought it was scary. I thought it was pretty unsettling, and I think the twists are really good. You had something else to say, Xylia?
I do, yeah. So another thing I think is scary is the car accident, because ever since I was a kid, I felt like I was going to die in a car accident.
Oh my god, of course you did.
And I think that's half the reason I was really scared to get my license for a long time. And like the other day, I drove in the snow for the first time, and it was a fucking blizzard. And I was so just like anxiety ridden about getting in an accident. So I think that aspect is scary as well. But then also like the idea of like what happens when we're in the process of death. Like what happens mentally in our minds when we're in the process of death.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I think I'm like very fascinated by death, but it's mostly because it scares me.
This is true.
This is true.
I agree with that statement.
I am scared to die.
I mean, I am scared to die, and I'm scared of people close to me to die as well, but I feel like I was recommending books like a month ago, and I realized that probably 50% of them are like explicitly about death. And I think that's the way that I deal with my fear of things is to like over intellectualize them and like find out all the like the facts about them and stuff like that. Yeah, so that was freaky to me.
And how about you, Mike? Is it scary?
I would definitely say a little bit, especially the first time I watched it, and it was like 3 o'clock in the morning, and we were in this like big old creaky house, and...
You have to watch it in the dark.
You really do have to watch it in the dark. Less so the second time I watched it, but I will say that it does definitely have like the scary factor because, and again, I think this, as all horror does, truly, I mean, like it depends on your kind of like personal like subjectivity, but like I again found the desolation of it, the fact that it was so in the middle of nowhere and there was no characters. Like in this whole movie there was like 5 people total, just absolutely devastating in terms of like scariness. And I find and the dwindling character count then, and in the middle of nowhere, and there's nobody else, there's nobody to help you, you're depending on each other, and you're watching each other like fall prey. And that's one of the reasons, again, as I probably said while we were talking about like The Evil Dead, why I found that so scary was because, again, it was this isolated place with an incredibly limited amount of characters, and they're falling one by one, and you can't trust the other people. And like I just found that to be very creepy and very scary. And because of that, I do find it like, I mean, is it scary? Like, not so much, but it is a little bit, but it's also incredibly creepy, and it's very unsettling, and I find that it does very successfully prey on that, like, and play up the couple of people in the middle of nowhere aspect of the narrative, which is very, very, very incredibly effective. That's
kind of a thing too. When I was thinking, literally when I was watching halfway through this movie, I was like, oh my god, this is how I feel about the pandemic.
Yes,
exactly. It is like, and the isolation is part of that, just to be like,
it is. And the like the
isolated.
The time loop, the time stop of it, and like the whole like space and time collapses.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh yeah. I totally forgot that all their time stopped at 7:30.
Yes, 7:30.
That must be when the car accident
happened. Yeah.
I think a better question is not, is it scary for any movie we watch? I think it's more, our gauge is like, is it unsettling?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like that.
Because nothing's really like, except for Sinister. I was just gonna say, except for Sinister.
Does it have the potential to like truly unsettle the viewer in some way?
Yes.
Yeah,
and I think that's really the point of horror.
Yeah. Maybe we'll have to change it so it'll be a yin or yang. Is it scary or unsettling?
Or neither.
So let's get into rating it. If you don't know our rating system is nay, okay, yay, or slay. Mike, why don't you start us off with what you give Dead End?
Absolutely. I'm gonna give it a yay. On the second watch, true, like, the fact that it was clearly like low budget and sort of had minimal resources to pool into it was a bit more evident than the first time I watched it, but that doesn't go necessarily like against it. It doesn't deter from its effectiveness. Yeah, I definitely think it's a yay because I still found it unsettling and I still found it funny in a like darkly humorous way. I still found it intriguing. The performances are really good. I think that it was well cast. I mean,
Yeah.
Amber Smith as the lady in white. I mean, clearly this woman is a model who her main thing is to look good in a cheap white dress, a spandex dress. But like, I don't know. I still like I said, for years it was something that I vividly remembered being affected by, and I remembered the viewing of this movie, and I would always recommend it to people, and I would still say that after watching it again, years later. And I think that is like a testament to its yayness. I would still say to people, like, you should watch this movie, it's really fun, or just I think people should watch it even if I don't think they're gonna like it, because it's got things to offer and it's thought-provoking, and you can discuss it.
Yeah. Xylia, how about you?
I'm also gonna give it a yay. Something I think is interesting about this movie is that I think all the other movies that we have reviewed that have twists, the rewatchability is like dramatically reduced after the first time, but this one not really, because that's not what the whole thing hinges on, I feel.
Yeah.
Like there's so many enjoyable parts throughout. I liked the actors, I liked the characters. I thought it was funny. I thought it was like, a fairly true depiction of like a nuclear family, and then I thought it was unsettling, and yeah, so I think it's a well-deserved yay.
Yeah, and I think it's gonna be unanimous. It's definitely a yay for me. I really, really like it, but I don't think it's like a classic.
It's not like a
masterpiece, but it's a very effective and good horror movie. I think Mike and Xylia hit the nail on the head, where it's unsettling. Even though it's a twist movie, it has rewatchability. The cast is awesome. And if you really like that weird Twin Peaks kind of vibe, like, this is definitely a horror movie that you would really, really enjoy. So now that we have the rating, let's get into the budget game. So I know how much it cost and made, and Xylia and Mike fight to the death to figure out what those prices are.
To the death.
So, what it cost. Mike, we'll start with you.
$12 million.
$12 million. Xylia.
Okay, I was gonna say like $3 million at the most. They're literally in a car on the road.
$3 million from Xylia.
In the movie.
I mean, if I could make you both lose, I'd make you both losers. So it's only an estimate on what it cost, but BoxOfficeMojo.com claimed it costs an estimated $900,000 to make.
Oh my god! Wow.
Sense. Like, I was thinking $2 million, but I was like, yeah.
I was just erring on the side of I always am way off, so. I sort of overcompensated, okay?
Yeah.
I overcompensated.
Now we'll say how much it made. Now I will be fair, and I'll let you guys know.
Was it a limited theater release?
Very limited. So these numbers, the claim of these numbers are from DVD sales. So I would suspect that's like rental and purchase. So how much do you think it made? And we'll start with Xylia this time.
Maybe like $8 million.
$8 million. Mike.
$8,001. No, I'm kidding. $6 million, Bob.
$6 million. Xylia will be the closest, but still pretty much a loser. It made $77 million.
Oh my god!
Sales.
Yeah, that's definitely we're both losers, girl.
My god.
I would not have guessed that, because when I saw this, I'm like, I've never heard of this.
That's so much.
I was like, I don't know anyone that's ever heard of this.
No.
But I mean, apparently that many people.
Good for the movie. Good for that.
Yeah, I'm very impressed. Maybe more people.
Are you sure it doesn't say 7.7?
It probably played a lot of like festivals and stuff too.
Yeah. No, it's 77. Yeah, very, very impressive. So right now we got to get into the shameless promotion. Just let everyone know, if you go to Spotify, you can look up the It Slays podcast horrific playlist, where we add music from movies we review and horror movies we like on there. I highly doubt anything from this movie will make it.
No Marilyn Bronson.
No Marilyn Bronson on there. Also, follow us on all social media. It's Slay's Podcast. We're everywhere. If you enjoy what you are hearing, go to patreon.com/It's Slay's Podcast and come join us and be a horror hound. You get lots of free stuff. You can figure out what movie we're going to review because you get the pick at a certain paid tier. Also, go to Redbubble, where you can pick up some It Slays Podcast gear. So Redbubble/It Slays Podcast/shop. If you go to Redbubble, just search It Slays Podcast and get, a tote bag, a t-shirt, a hoodie, a blanket, whatever you want. And lastly, if you get a chance, give us a review on iTunes, because it shows us up further in the search engine when people are looking for horror podcasts. If you leave us a text review along with a star review, we will read it, no matter if it's good or bad, and we have definitely proven that. So do that. And lastly, we have to announce our next movie. I should say it'll be the first movie of the new year, and Xylia has this pick. So Xylia, make your announcement.
So if you have survived and made it to 2021 to hear our review of this next movie, congratulations.
If the Man in Black hasn't gotten you.
Yep, if the Man in Black has not gotten you. Sorry. So basically, McKill_426, I don't know how exactly you would say it, but she had posted on her story that she was watching a movie called Vivarium, and the cover of the movie was I was like, oh, what's that? That looks something like what I would like. So I watched the trailer and I was like, okay, I kind of want to see this. So guess what? We're gonna watch it for our next movie review. So Vivarium will be the first movie of 2021.
I'm excited for this because I've heard lots of good things about it. So
it's she said it's very Black Mirror-ish.
Ooh, we love it.
Yeah, Black Mirror is one of my favorite TV shows. So
we love a technological dystopia, also known as the world we're living in at the moment
right now. So I'm down.
So make sure you watch that before the next episode. Before we end, I just want to say I hope everyone had or is having a happy holidays. Thank you for all the support and the love we've gotten this year. We've grown immensely and we're getting a lot more listens and everything's kind of growing, and we appreciate all the support and can't wait to continue the journey with you in 2021. So, as always, I am your ever humble host, Rowan.
Bye, it's Xylia. Happy New Year.
Enjoy your holidays. It's Mike. Bye.
See you later.
We're going to expand our weekly video segment to take you into the back shelves of your local video store, back where it says horror videos and where kids are devouring some awful films that we call the video nasties.
Are you freebasing? Inquiring minds want to know.
I have to break free from this culture of mechanical reproductions and the thick incrustations dying on the surface.
Fuck the prime time, bitch!
Long live the new Fletch.
The pain, I can assure you, will be exquisite. As for our deaths, come with me and be immortal. We have such sights to show you.
We've got to return some videotapes.